thank you so much for joining us tonight. We're actually celebrating our 5th anniversary of the founding of Bach Ascending. You'll hear a little bit more about that in a few minutes. My name's Margot Jones. I have the pleasure of serving as president of Bach Ascending. Many of you have been with us through our last at least 2 or 3 years, and we're grateful. This is a free concert series. As you know, we're supported totally by donor contributions. So if for some reason you're not among our list of donors yet, which are in your program, please consider joining us with a gift, especially this month, this special February month. I'd like to recognize our board members who are also here, our greeters who are helping us tonight, and especially thank the Lutheran Church of the Ascension and Pastor Matt Henning, who serves on our board for Bach Ascending. The church allows us to use this facility as well as 6 East State for these concerts at no charge, and we're very grateful for that. So, without further ado, I'd like to introduce Tom White, Artistic Director. Tom.
Margot just reminded me to ask you to make sure you silence your devices. It's rare these days, but it does happen. I am Tom White, the Artistic Director, and so glad to see you at this concert. Eric and I talked probably almost a year ago about this, and to me this exemplifies Bach Ascending. Really paying tribute to the music of Johann Sebastian Bach, but also bridging it to how his influence is felt, especially in jazz. Jazz players revere Johann Sebastian Bach, and you're going to hear a lot of that tonight. These are 3 of the finest musicians around, and our Spotlight for Savannian series pays tribute to those world-class musicians in our own backyard. As you saw in the video, we're celebrating our 5th year, and we have really achieved so much in 5 years, and we're looking for the next 5. We've had some leadership gifts honoring the 5th year in increments of 5. We had one for 5,000, which is great, and a couple for 500, and then some people who wanted to give 2 5s. So if you're interested in becoming part of that leadership, we are just looking for ways to expand to the future and really thinking about different and ingenious ways we can continue Bach Ascending as it ascends into the next 10 years. So thank you very much. Was there anything else? So just thrilled. We exceeded our expectations for audiences, so thank you for coming out. I want to thank all of the volunteers who helped, and the spread downstairs was magnificent. We'll be doing an audience survey just to see what you think about certain ways we do things, so look for that tomorrow or over the weekend. But it is my great pleasure to introduce from Bach to jazz, bridging Baroque with Bebop. Eric Jones, Robert Saunders, and Marc Chesanow.
Wow. Hello, Savannah. That's a lot of you guys here, man. Well, we're happy and humbled to be here. This has been a amazing experience so far, and I know this series of concerts has been really amazing. We've had some amazing guests, so we're just lucky or blessed to be amongst the guests. We have on drums Mr. Robert Saunders on drums. Marc Chesanow on bass. Of course, you know, my name is Eric Jones. The first song that we did was not a Bach composition. I just want to let you guys know, just in case you was wondering, like, this was an original composition I wrote. It's called Unity Blues, a.k.a. Blues Unity. So we like to start out with a blues to just get, you know, loosen up and get acquainted, you know. I believe if Bach was, you know, if he lived during this time, he probably would be playing the blues, you know. Being that Bach was a improviser, we want to highlight that part of, you know, his expression. And don't worry, we have a couple of treatments of Bach's compositions. One in particular is Air on the G string. So we have a arrangement of that. So we're going to play it. The next song we're gonna do is a bebop composition. It's been a tribute to Charlie Parker, but from history, or talking to some of the people that lived during that time that have passed and said it was written by Miles Davis. This was a piece called Donna Lee. So we're gonna do that. Surprise. So, the title says, from Bach to Bebop, and if you're wondering, like, what's the connection? And I'm going to try not to go too technical because I teach at Savannah State University, so I could probably go into some of the technicalities of it. But one of the things that there's a connection in the fact of that the harpsichordist would play what we call the figure bass, which is cymbals that will allow them to play the harmony or the harmony in an ensemble, such as a small ensemble or orchestra, and they will have to read like chord changes, similar to what we do here in terms of improvisation. We have a lead sheet, which is melody line, and then we have these cymbals that we have to play, and we have to make our decisions on how we're going to play the particular harmonies. And it's similar to what, the harpsichordists would do if they was playing with ensemble, the figure bass, And the cymbals look different, but pretty much a lot of the same stuff, and there was a lot of improvisation involved. So they had to have a great understanding of harmony, in order to make those decisions about how would this fit in an ensemble. So a lot of the beboppers, and the people that played the music, Charlie Parker, Dizzy Gillespie, it was shorthand for them to be able to get on stage and play music, even if they haven't played together. And that's the beauty of the music. And I think in classical music, a lot of the great composers such as Mozart, Beethoven were improvisers. As time progressed and we got closer to the modern age and stuff like that, that kind of became less apparent in terms of classical musicians. But there are some musicians that are starting to bring back the improvisational side of the classical music. But Bach was one of the great improvisers of the music. So we're going to continue with the bebop repertoire. We're going to dive into a wonderful trumpeter that's not far from this area, relatively speaking, from Cheraw, South Carolina. You guys guess who that could possibly be? Have anybody been to Cheraw, South Carolina? Do anybody know where that place is? Tom knows everything. He knows where Cheraw is. But Cheraw is, and I'm sure Marc probably is familiar. Like it's not near Savannah. I'll say that. But it's in South Carolina. We're talking about the one and only Dizzy Gillespie, and we're gonna do one of his maybe not his most well-known composition, such as no, not Manteca. This is called Alma. We're gonna do Alma. So, you may not know this, but Bach and myself have a lot in common. Well, maybe, somewhat. We both work for the church, or at least I used to work for the church. He used to work for the church, too. Church musicians, played organ, played a little bit of organ myself. We both have kids. Well, he had kids. He had 20 kids. I'm not, only 2. I don't have much. But, yeah, I think one of the cool things, I always say this, some of the finest musicians, and I'm not including myself in that, but comes from the church. And Bach, I can only imagine, in terms of providing music for the services for different occasions. He was so prolific in his output. One of the pieces that is probably one of his most well-known pieces is Cantata 147, Jesu, Joy of Man's Desiring. I think I was trying to figure out a way, like, how can we translate that into something, modern expression, I guess, through the prism of my experiences. So I decided to write a piece somewhat contrafat based on it, at least part of it. And I renamed it The Joy of the Lord. So here you go. Okay. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Give it up for Robert Saunders on that wonderful solo. Marc Chesanow on the wonderful solo on the bass. That is that song, and I'm going to tell you what the song is, just in case you didn't know. I'm sure you guys probably recognize the melody, but that was part of a basically unspoken rule or contractual agreement. Whenever you're in Savannah, you got to play a Johnny Mercer related composition. So that was Skylark, and we just did it in a different way. So, but we're gonna move on. We have one more song before we do our last piece. But we thank you for being a wonderful crowd. I want to say that you guys have been really amazing. But the next piece we're gonna play is a piece by a jazz pianist by the name of Hampton Halls. He was a bebop pianist that lived on the West Coast, and he was probably one of those obscure pianists that, well, he was somewhat obscure at the time, in fact, that he wasn't as well known as some of the other great pianists during that time. But he wrote a beautiful piece called Sonore, and this piece kind of, you can hear somewhat of Bach's harmonic influence, I guess, in this particular piece, and not to get too technical, but I will say that one thing Bach loved to do harmonically, go through the circle of fifths. In a lot of ways, as a way of modulating from one key to the next key, he would use the circle of fifths as a way of doing it. So this particular piece is a wonderful piece. It's a beautiful piece called Sonore. Hope you like it. Sonore. We're going to end with one more piece. This is a piece that has a funny title, because unless you've been to Nigeria and you spoke some of the language of the Igbo tribe, you're probably like, what is that? It's called Azubuike. This is from the album we recorded 7 years ago. But it basically means the past is our strength. That's the meaning of it. 7 years ago, fellas. I know it's been a while, right? We need to record another album. So, but this particular piece, I would say this: the relationship with this piece is, in terms of the influence of Bach music on this particular piece is probably based on Bach's C minor prelude, his C minor fugue, this right here. You guys recognize that? That's all I can play. That's all I can play. But yeah, the harmonically is somewhat based on that. So we're gonna leave you with this. It's called Azubuike. It's gonna feature Robert Saunders on drums. Marc Chesanow on bass. Robert Saunders on drums. You guys have been a wonderful crowd. I want to thank Tom White for extending the opportunity, and Bach Ascending for extending the opportunity for us to share our talents with you all. You guys have been a wonderful audience. And you guys have a wonderful, safe, and warm night. And I don't know if Tom is going to say anything, but you guys have a wonderful night, and hope to see you on the next one. All right.